My name is Marion O'Sullivan. I'm the Director General of the Institute of Public Administration.
So I'd like to thank Marion again for kindly hosting today. As most of you know, 2019 marks the 40th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Ireland. So on 5 continents, put this in context, okay? And so that's really, really important that we think about this. And the theme of today is from 2020, and strategic 20, we believe it's...
Speaking about China, and they said, don't think of China as one country. China is actually a very, very diverse space. It has huge regional variations, enormous and deep-going regional traditions, enormous cities, all with different flavours, tastes, traditions and cultures.
This topic is chosen very timely and very essential for this year and for the years to come, when both China and Ireland realize that the local governments and the local regions are going to play a more and substantial role in developing our relations, in addition to the central government country-to-country relations. It is a good addition, and also it is good areas where we are going to have the real results and to benefit our people.
And there are real benefits for both China and Ireland in building these partnerships, be they twinning, be they memorandums from university. And I suppose that's the why. And how then, if I was a county or a city, I would look for synergies that feed in to both the Chinese partner and the Irish partner. The obvious place to start at the moment is with your higher education institution. Practically every one of our higher education institution has a relationship with Chinese universities and colleges. Many of them have relationships with a number. And that would be an opening, as the ambassador mentioned, these colleges and universities in China are very closely related both to the central and local governments. And it is a door that can be opened and expanded on. Industries is another area. We have many high-tech industries in Ireland which have relationship with high-tech industries in China, and again, perhaps that can be expanded out in terms of local authority links.
Net too wide. I think you have to have a narrow focus on what you want. Because we've got to be compatible with the area that we choose to invest in, and you can't. I suppose I caution about giving too many expectations. You've got to be able to deliver.
In terms of, I want a joined-up approach from my area, where all of the local authorities are working on the same page, because then we'll be able to bring a joined-up solution and a much more powerful offering to our counterparts in China, and to bring to their provinces, as opposed to bringing them kind of half-baked or not joined-up solutions. It's really important that if we want to build those long-term relationships.
Like when you hear the bigger picture of our exports to China and these big numbers, you think it doesn't impact on you locally, but it does, certainly on the farm level. Keeping those family-run farms going are dependent on these exports growing.
Very much I think the local authority sector, we have got to ensure that.
And then we'll pass it
to you. Just picking up on that point about cross-border traffic, a number of Chinese group tours come in via Edinburgh, and then they come across and come forward.
That one of the ideas for this event, we would see this as one of the number of events.
Ambassador Yue has also, I think, explained very clearly the centres of influence, decision making and so on in local government, regional and municipal government in China. I think what we need to do here, and Jackie, maybe you could advise us on this, is to see what we can do in order to produce a partner in Ireland that can match the range of capacities that you see in local government in China. As the ambassador said, local government in China has a very important role to play in industrial development, in service development, in physical planning, and so on. And in order to get a valid partnership, we should try as far as we can to have a group in Ireland, on the Irish side of the partnership, that can match that range of functions, even though, of course, our administrative and political structures are different, but we need at least to try to match that range of functions in order to make these kinds of partnerships and twinnings work to the best advantage.
Presentation which showed the experienced brands, that we all understand how the Ireland brand, the brands which are...
You've heard all the scale issues with China, size and so on. For us it's about business, and that's always inevitably people to people. So building those relationships, and you will hear frequently the length of time it takes to build relationships in China and so on. It's a little longer than our transactional model in the West, but it's not inordinately long. I don't think people should get hung up on that whole idea. Chinese people are open and ready to do business, but it is a very competitive environment.
From here, I think it's a lot.
Any comments from the panel in relation to how Brexit may positively or negatively impact on key sectors? Is it an opportunity or does it create a challenge?
What is the product? What is the service? Does it move to China? Can you sell it? You know, do they want it? You have to answer all of the bog standard questions before you can answer that. But in terms of the overall Brexit, yes, there's an awful lot going on, but China has the answer.
Maybe.
It depends.
It depends.
Okay.
So thank you, Martin, for the intro. First of all, I probably don't need to introduce myself now. Yes, I'm on the advisory board of Asian Matters. I'm Director of Strategy with Atomic Group. One of our key focuses is B2B marketing and branding. We work with a lot of the big global tech firms based here in Ireland, but we also work with a couple of state agencies, including IDA Ireland and Enterprise Ireland, in the area of place branding. So that includes the Global Ambition campaign, but also the Irish Advantage campaign, which is Ireland's export promotion campaign overseas, as well as in the area of place branding for talent attraction, which is what we call Tech Life Ireland brand, which is a joint IDA, Enterprise Ireland and Department of Business initiative.
So basically the context is Cork is a sister city of Shanghai and has been since 2005. We have 3 other cities where we have memorandum of understanding with. That's Hangzhou, which is the capital of Zhejiang province, Wuxi in Jiangsu province, and Shenzhen in the south, just beside Hong Kong. My colleague Declan Davies here from Cork County Council, and Cork County Council has a relationship with Jiangsu province, which is north-west of Shanghai, and Kerry County Council has a relationship with Zhejiang province, which is southwest of Shanghai. So basically, the old southwest region in Ireland, what we're doing is concentrating on the lower Yangtze Basin, which is the most dynamic area of China.
So thank you, Pat, from the Republic of Cork, as a Corkonian myself. Great to see a Dubliner who's done so much good work for Cork.
This year we'll open the UCD Confucius Centre, which, as you probably know, is the first Chinese government-funded Confucius Centre outside of China, part-funded, I should say. We've also been involved in developing degree programs before BDIC, the first one in 2002, and the most recent one approved just towards the middle of last year in Chang'an. And the key element I want to point to is that all of our program interactions in China have been MOE approved. I and my colleagues have worked really hard to develop the relationships with our Chinese partners, and some of the discussions, particularly in the early year or so, were fairly frank and fairly head-on. That was because they had positions they had to maintain, and we had positions we had to maintain, and finding a common ground was problematic, but I think we felt confident enough in each other to know that we could say what had to be said so that everybody understood why we had the positions we had, and then reach a compromise on that basis, rather than just digging trenches and refusing to engage and discuss. So building relationships so you can have open discussion is really important.
But it really comes down to that China-Ireland relationship that began formally 40 years ago. But of course, decades or longer before that, there were informal contacts, particularly cultural and even political. So the cooperation has come in a series of waves, but this has now been underpinned by the political structures that came about because of the establishment of diplomatic relations. And later on, of course, the Chinese side looked to the Shannon Free Trade Zone, and that's what really started China to take a real interest in Ireland. Be very aware, of course, of the cultural context. And this is something you may not understand fully, and you may never understand, but really you need to understand some of the main points about doing business, about the formality, and both speakers spoke about the need to work within the realm of government, and that is absolutely true. There is a reality there that you need to work with rather than against. Go with the grain, you know, and with those champions that you may have on the Chinese side that you've developed through your personal relationship growing, they can then help you navigate that rather complex structure. China has an enormously complex structure, very sophisticated structure. So let your Chinese champions help you understand and tell you which are the important organizations you need to really pay attention to.
Thank you.
We have over the last 40 years developed a strong relationship at every level between our two countries, and there have been particular success stories in the relationship between Irish local authorities and Chinese local government. I suppose the two standout relationships are the relationship between Cork City and Shanghai, who are sister cities, have regular exchanges of officials, a strong annual rota of visits by the mayor, by officials, by experts, and the relationship between Dublin and Beijing, which of course was marked last year by a very successful visit by the Beijing Party Secretary Tsai Chi. These are just two, however, of many twinnings. We have up to 25 twinnings on our books at various levels, memorandums of understanding of friendship, cooperation agreements and so on, between practically every region of China and every region of Ireland.